You mentioned community offer. One of the difficulties, I think, for the community that we at GFM are working with, and it's predominantly the black and minority ethnic community, is the issue around having some of the capacity to deliver some of these things that community offer is suggesting. And community offer is linked to the big society, I understand.
Well, the big society might be a new phrase, but it's not new. You know, this has been around for a long, long time. And I think people have come up to me and said, look, you know, there's certain communities in Gloucestershire that aren't going to be able to do this. And I say, whoa, look around. You know, okay, if you go to your parishes, you can see your parish councils, you can see a setup. But if you go to places like Matson, Hester's Way, my own area of Linden, and you look around these areas which people class as areas of high social deprivation. I'm not being funny. I've lived and worked in these areas for a long time, and I know that there are active communities there, and in many ways active volunteer groups have been well established in the community doing a fantastic job on the ground. And what we're seeing as part of the conversations we're having now, that they're coming forward and saying, okay, we don't like this, but we think there's an opportunity maybe for us to deliver services in a different way. So I don't believe that there's any part of the community that hasn't got an active voice already that we can't tap into, talk to, and help make sure that we resolve these issues and bring them forward to try and deliver something in a world where we have less money, but still trying to deliver that service that's important to local communities.
Okay, so if there are community members out there who think, actually, I'd like to take on the opportunity to run a youth group, but I'm lacking funds, we're lacking some of the support that you might need to make it happen, not just youth services but some of the other services as well. Will there be any support in place, whether it's money or whether there's what we would call infrastructure support, help to build your organisation so that it can move away from the local authority and into the hands of the community? Will that support be available?
There is, and it is today. We've actually launched yesterday a £50,000 grant for this year, which local organisations can apply for. So if they've got an idea, if they want to take up one of the big community offers, there is money there to help them develop their idea, help them. We've had people come and say, we want to do some market research. We're thinking of taking over a library. We want to know what local people want. Can we have some money to help set that up? That money's there now and available.
And how do organisations go about, or individuals and communities go about applying for that money?
Well, if they go to www.gloucestershire.gov.uk and click on the Active Communities icon, which is on the top left-hand side, you'll go straight there. It's funding. Click on the funding button and all the information is there on how to apply. So we'd really encourage people to get and apply for that money. But that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning of the funding that we're making available. On youth, we are making available from next year £50,000 per district, so it's £300,000 across the county available for voluntary organisations to bid for money on youth, and that's ongoing. So that's every year there will be £50,000 available for small grants for voluntary organisations on youth. We're also making available for organisations that take on buildings £100,000 of match funding on capital, so that if they take it over, there's an opportunity for them to maybe change the way the building's laid out. Maybe they want to make some changes so they can make better uses of some of the rooms. So, you know, that money's available as well. And what we've said is, look, you know, if you're not sure, come talk to us. But we think there's a real genuine opportunity in these areas to make a real difference. And I think, you know, there's going to be on libraries 11 different conversations, on youth probably 26 separate conversations. But we're up for that, and we're ready to listen to what the community think they can do and how we can deliver it together.
Okay. In terms of groups that might need specialist services, so for example people who are visually impaired, people who don't necessarily have English as a first language, how can those people be supported? Because those are quite specialist services that would still need to be delivered, I suppose, in a way, wouldn't they?
I'm sure you can edit that bit out. I think the first thing to say there is we're not working alone on this. We're obviously already working with the voluntary sector, drop-in centres for volunteers. They've just launched a brand new website that we've helped fund with the NHS today, which again is about helping support and advice for people wanting to get in volunteers. So we're not doing this on our own. I think the other thing to say is, there's great community links out there already. I think we are really blessed in this county by having such an amazing network of community groups, whether it's in rural areas or whether it's in urban areas, that have really been active over a number of years. And I know from my experience of 13 years in local government that these organisations hold the key to understanding what can be delivered locally. So, if there's an issue, there's always someone out there that can help solve that problem, and we'll work with anyone who's willing to provide that support and advice.
Okay then, so you've more or less brought us up to date with what's happening currently. What are going to be the next steps?
Well, the next steps is that the County Council has obviously got this document published, and there's a council meeting next week, which is where the draft is agreed by the council, and then there will be a budget meeting in February where the final budget will actually be signed off. There's also specific consultations. We legally have to go through some consultations on some of the changes we're making. So again, consultation packs are going out to interested groups at the moment, both on youth and on libraries, and you can also access those online. So there are lots of ways that people can input into this process, and lots of ways people can give us feedback. And we're looking to make the final decision in February. I think just to wrap it off, I think for me, the key challenge here is, if people do have concerns about what we're putting forward, let us know. But also bear in mind that if you want us to change something, we need to make a cut elsewhere. So it's useful if people actually make suggestions on where we need to make changes, because at the end of the day, as I keep saying, the check's going to get smaller. We need to make savings somehow. And this is our best effort at putting forward what we think is a balanced, fair package, which, isn't easy, but we think reflects the needs of Gloucestershire. Okay.
Now, at GFM 96.6, might I add, we have for over a year now been running a campaign to try to encourage our listeners to get involved in consultation and get involved in public life. How important would you say it is to our listeners now to actually get involved in the consultation process that you're talking about? And not only that, how can you see it being facilitated? Because we work with a group, we're working with groups of people who don't necessarily speak English as their first language, and groups who are quite removed from the day-to-day daily services, and they probably don't even recognise that, as you said, it's the county that gets rid of the waste. They recognise that the city picks it up, because the second stage is something that's probably quite alien to some of the people that we're working with, because they're so removed from what the county does. How would you ensure that those are engaged, but most importantly, why is it important for them to get involved?
It is important because at the end of the day, this is the most fundamental change in public services for a generation. Decisions that we make over the coming months will affect the way services are delivered for the next decade and beyond. And I think, this is something that everyone in Gloucester is probably aware of. It's been in all the media, it's been in all the press. There are plenty of opportunities for people to get involved. I still get lots of letters every single day, people making suggestions or people lobbying on certain issues. Get hold of your local councillor, get hold of our website, and you can submit comments through there. Loads of ways that people get involved. And it is important. These are fundamental changes to the way we do things. And it's important everyone has the right to have their say and to get involved and make sure that they don't miss out on getting their views across.
Yeah, because is it fair to say that these changes will affect us all simply because of the very fact that we live in Gloucestershire, and for some of us work as well in Gloucestershire?
These are huge changes, and I think the one way of looking at it is you can look at it we're losing 30% less money. But actually, think about it, we've still got 70% left. How do we make that 70% work to deliver the priorities that we as local people need and want? So that's the way to look at it. But these are challenging times. It is going to affect services. You're probably going to see those changes happen at a far faster pace than you've ever seen that happen before. So it's important people engage and make sure they understand what it is we're doing, and not just understand the headline, but also understand the detail underneath, what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it, and what we're trying to protect.
Okay, brilliant. And I think finally, just to wrap it up, it would be worthwhile having an explanation of what Astra, I don't know what that is. Astra and CAF?
Astra and CAF are ways of identifying with schools and police young children who might be at risk So you get all multi-agencies coming together, working together, say, okay, we think this child might be at risk, there might be some issues at home, and this is about picking up those interventions early, helping the family, helping the child, making sure that you don't get into a situation where children have to be taken into care, because that's something we want to work to avoid. And I think that's worth investing in, because that's making sure that everyone gets a decent start in life and a decent chance to have a good life. So.
And young people are our future, aren't they?
They certainly are.
Okay, so finally now, you said final decisions being made in February. Is that right? That's the timeline. Yeah. Now, if people are interested, want to be part of consultations, want to have a conversation, because you said to say people can get on the website, didn't you? If people want to do that, where do they need to go to get the information?
All the information is on our website. We've put up a huge amount of information out, so every single area we've talked about, there are information on what we're proposing, what the funding will look like, what the changes will mean. There's a huge amount of information out there at the moment, probably too much for everyone to take in all at once, but it is a big change. So, there are briefing sheets that people can read, overviews that they can read. It's all out there. We've tried to set out the whole picture. Some authorities are doing this bit by bit. I thought the best way of doing it in Gloucestershire is to say, look, okay, we are making changes. Some things will go. And I thought it was important that it's what people saw, the big picture, and could see what we were trying to protect and what we were trying to deliver. Okay,
so just summary. Thank you very much for coming, but just to summarise generally what's happening, you've made the announcements in regards to what the proposed cuts are going to be. Now going to be a consultation phase ending, just to remind the listeners?
In February, so the final decision will be taken by Council in February.
Okay.
And then obviously changes are going to start happening straight away, because...
So, well, not great actually, but it's happening.
It's happening, things are happening. One of the key things that comes out of the comprehensive spending review was the first year cut for local government was 12.5%. So the savings for local government are front loaded. We need to make those savings very quickly, so things will change very quickly. Okay then, and if people want to get involved, they need to make use of the website. Definitely. To get involved in the consultation, or to speak to somebody from the Meeting the Challenge, email to the Meeting the Challenge team. Yeah. Brilliant. Councillor Hawthorne, thank you very much for finding the time to come in and speak to us. I'm sure we'll call you back for an update in a year's time. Yes. Thank you.